Hello and welcome to Sideways. This week, Martin's having a rant, which sets me off too. We're expressing our frustration with drinks companies, gambling companies and Ray Winstone. I surprise Martin by being prepared, and he tells me that Supertramp were a UK band trying to sound American, a fact that does not stand up to the scrutiny of their back catalogue. Please drink responsibly.
How you doing?
I'm all right, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Yeah, how's are you still self-isolating?
No, I'm free now.
Are you just ready for tier 3?
Yeah, exactly. I'm coming out of self-isolation straight into something which is pretty much the same.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, I know it's not much of a change, is there really?
Not really. Is it going to affect you? Do you think?
No, not. Work-wise, it does a bit, but not too bad. I'm getting by.
Yeah, I mean, you don't go to a lot of pubs these days, do you? To be fair,
I don't go. No, I don't go congregating. That's for sure.
Well, you won't be able to go to church or anything, though, will you?
No, and that won't be much of a change. But no. Anyway,
I think they do live streams of church services now. You could always join one of those.
I could. That's always an option.
Yeah,
that is always an option. It probably won't be one I'm taking up, but thanks.
And I wondered if we should have started today by singing "Happy Birthday."
Well, we're recording the start of season 3 now, because we've completed 1 year, which is split up into 2 seasons, as you know, 2 lots of 26, and so this is season 3, episode 1. So yeah, and we've completed a year.
So does that mean that when I upload this, I've got to call it season 3, episode 1?
Yeah, I know you always struggle with that, but I keep mine all on an Excel spreadsheet, so I know exactly where we are, and I'm assuming you do the same.
Oh yeah, of course I do. Yeah. How are you going to feel if I just call this season 2, episode 27?
I'll go and find someone else to do it with. someone good. Somebody can keep count.
Anyway, never mind all that. What do you want to talk about?
I wanted to. Well, the working title I've got from my notes this week is "Please drink responsibly."
Okay.
All right. I was sort of motivated to do an episode on the use of slogans by the industries that seem to think that they can sort of shirk their responsibilities over the negative consequences caused by their products by the use of these glib throwaway strap lines.
Very nice.
Yeah. I think there was a number of reasons I wanted to do it. I've got four motivations, right? Okay, and firstly it was just by us having a brief chat about it at one point. I can't remember when it was. You might have even sent me a message. Yeah, I can't remember that. Secondly, it was I saw an extract from an episode of South Park that seemed to perfectly sum up the issue. Right, where there was a lot of these flashing images of people enjoying themselves and drinking heavily, and there's lots of hedonism and sex, and everything was great, and it was all associated with this particular drink. And then suddenly, right at the end, it was just a quick flash up on the screen of saying, "Please drink responsibly," which I thought was quite good. And then I saw this spoof advert. Yeah, which took it one stage further by undermining the message completely by using a slogan saying, "Please drink gin responsibly, don't spill any," which I thought was a bit wrong. and then fourthly, all right, I'm on a bit of a roll.
Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was, these magazines you pick up in supermarkets, the free ones with all food and stuff in it. Yeah, well, yeah. I picked up one from Tesco's and it was absolutely littered with adverts for booze, glamorising it, with these tiny little warnings at the bottom part of the page you could hardly see. And I thought, well, this is not right, Summer. Someone's got to be said. And so I'm saying it right now.
Well, so actually, funny enough, you talking about that and going off on a bit of a rant there reminds me of a different one, which is not necessarily related to drink, but is related to addiction, which is the number of times that Ray Winstone turns up at halftime in the football.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Yeah, I think that's a gambling advert, isn't it?
It is a gambling advert, and he's kind of telling you, he's urging you to have a bet on pretty much anything, how many corners there are, or who's going to get the next throw in, or maybe have a double up on next booking and next goal, but make sure you do it responsibly. I mean, it's totally at odds, isn't it, with the message?
It is. It is. I want to come on to gambling later on, if I may. I don't want you to drag me away from the order of my notes just yet.
Okay.
In some cases, the responsible drinking message is sort of perverted further, and it contradicts the main emphasis of the advert. For example, I saw one. It was for a certain brandy. It was a Carlos III brandy, which I hadn't heard of before. But when I was doing my research, it came up, and it said it invited the person to join the Carlos party. And it was accompanied by a large image of an overflowing glass of their brandy. So it wasn't just joining the party, it was joining it to excess. And then a tiny little thing at the bottom, please drink responsibly, which again just seemed to be completely at odds. Is it just me as a recovering alcoholic that sees these things as bizarre, or do you see something slightly wrong with it?
Well, I suspect I do see something wrong with it. I think the most you can say about it is that it just pays lip service to the problem. But I think there probably is a sort of spectrum of sensitivity to it. So, for example, you as a recovering alcoholic will see it everywhere. There'll be something, there are reminders all over the place of the fact that we live in a drinking culture. And I suppose, so I probably don't recognise it to quite that extent, but I do definitely recognise it, and obviously I recognise it because of what I do for a living and because we do this and because I know you. But just as an example, yesterday I was having my shopping delivered, as you do, and there were quite a few bags, and the lady who was delivering the shopping, as she handed me one of the bags, she said, that's the important one, be careful with that. And of course it was the one with drink in it. So there's almost this kind of, it's almost woven into the fabric of our society that the thing that we're all fixated on, the thing that we find most important, the thing that our lives revolves around is drink. So yeah, I mean, I find it a bit annoying and frustrating. So I guess for a recovering alcoholic, it must be, it must kind of go a step further than that.
Yeah, I think perhaps I have a heightened awareness towards it, and certainly this time of year, that supermarket magazine I was talking about is a sort of the Christmas edition, and it was prompting us to buy as much drink as you possibly can because you couldn't have a Christmas without it. Yeah, I do see that, but so it is. I know I am a little bit more sensitive towards it, but reading up I was looking at. Look to see what alcohol concerns what thoughts on it were. Yeah. And I'll just read this out. It just said, our research suggests that the drink responsibly message is not just a slogan for the alcohol industry to hide behind, but actually a further opportunity for it to promote its brands. Thus, frequently alcohol brand names like Martell and Goose Grey were inserted into the wording of the drink responsibly message, serving to promote the brand and the product advertised. And I think it's, and I thought, I'm not sure if I've seen that, but then I looked further, and there was a Jack Daniels one. And they woven their brand name into the drink responsibly message as well. They said, your friends at Jack Daniels remind you to drink responsibly, play with your heart, drink with care, live freely, drink responsibly. Yeah. So it was sort of, watered down further by using their own product name in the supposed warning in their advert.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, if anything, I feel that the whole drink responsibly thing and gamble responsibly thing, when the fun stop or whatever they say in gambling, I actually think those phrases do more damage than good, because I think they create, certainly in me, an impression of such cynicism in the industry, because drinks companies, they don't care about you. They don't care about you. They care about how much drink they can sell and how much profit they can make. They do not care about someone who's got a drink problem. In fact, if anything, I suspect they probably think, that's good, you've got a drink problem, you'll buy more drink then, won't you? The whole, and I think the thing that annoys me about it is the pretense that they feel anything different. As a corporation, drinks companies do not care if people drink too much, do they? Why would they?
No, they don't. I think their slogan is, drink responsibly as long as you keep drinking. I think there's some evidence that some of the industry-led attempts to promote moderation they're not only ineffective but sometimes counterproductive as well.
Yeah.
Again, we're looking at the research. It was previously highlighted in the tobacco field. When there's a lot of campaigns about reducing smoking or cutting out smoking altogether. There's one campaign message which was called "Think, Don't Smoke," and when they studied this, the people that were exposed to this campaign, they ended up developing more favourable attitudes towards the tobacco industry. It's almost as if the tobacco industry was being quite kind to them by putting this softening of the message in there.
Absolutely.
And there's a similar one in the alcohol industry. It was, why let good times go bad? And again, they studied the results of people looking at this message, and they found out that people were more likely to drink heavily compared to positive health messages, which I want to come on to in a minute as to why. I can't just rant on about these things and not come up with some sort of productive answer as to how it should be altered. So I'll come on to that in a minute if I may.
But that's why I say it's kind of cynical, because for a drinks company, let's be honest, we both worked in the corporate world. We know that you're the only master that you're a slave to is the bottom line. So for a drinks company, the only downside of someone struggling with alcoholism is the danger that they go into recovery and stop drinking.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the end user is king as far as they're concerned, and they want to keep as many end users going for as long as possible. So they don't want to. If you moderate, it means you can probably drink longer.
Precisely.
So there is some cynicism behind it. I totally agree.
I think the point you were just making is also an important one, because selling the idea that drinks manufacturers and gambling companies and tobacco companies are nurturing and have got your best interests at heart is fundamentally bullshit. And that's the thing that I object to. It's okay, we know why they exist. There's no problem with drinks companies existing, or gambling companies, or tobacco companies. That's fine. People can do what they like. I totally support the idea of people having free reign to live their lives the way they please. But the thing I object to is the suggestion that they are in some way benevolent when they aren't. I agree. And I'll go on to gambling in a minute, because that's littered with bad practice as well. But again, with alcohol concern, and I agree with their ideas as to how to reapproach this and to replace those messages really with government endorsed recommendations, guidelines, for example, on the bottles or on the adverts. I mean, you don't know, do you, when you buy a bottle of brandy or a bottle of whiskey or whatever? You don't know what, how many units you should be having of that each day for a safe measure. It doesn't say. It doesn't tell you that on the bottle. You don't, but would it make a difference even if you did, do you think?
It would. I think some people would look at it. I know some people do read labels and look at it and take advice from it. So yeah, it would have an impact. Right. I mean, I think going back right to the start, before they had any messages on adverts or on the bottles, then I think it's a step in the right direction when one was introduced. I think it's time to sort of escalate that up a little bit. But targeted warnings seem to be the way forward as well. So, it's saying, like in footy mags or lad mags, for example, where they can, they put in, drinking will impair your performance, on the sporting field or in your relationship, and to point out that there's cancer-causing agents in there. The promotion of lifestyle in those magazines show that drinkers are all having a good time. They show that they tend to be going back to that South Park image. It's all rich people, having big, large parties around swimming pools and lots of beautiful people there. And that's the image that they try to intertwine with, if you drink, this is what's going to happen to you. It's, it almost gives the indication that only poor people have drink problems.
Yeah.
I mean, what tends to happen is if you do drink too much, you end up poor anyway. I mean, when I was writing up these notes, the Fulham Everton game was on the telly on terrestrial TV. So I thought I'd sit down and have a look at that. It's the only time.
That must have been a slow day.
Oh no, I wanted to watch it, right? This was all part of my research. I thought this is the only time I'm going to probably get a chance to watch a football match and use it as part of my research, because I wanted to look at how the gambling industry advertises in the football grounds, because we know that it's prevalent. You've already touched on it with Ray Winstone. And the advertising hoardings around the pitch. I mean, they're electronic these days. You remember, when we were kids, they were just wooden, weren't they? And they were static. And do you remember the guys used to come out and put up the halftime results on them, didn't they?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
they had these little numbers they used to hang up next. You looked in your program and looked up what C was, letter C, and that was Swansea,
Charlton v Orient. Yeah.
That's it, and they'd hang the result up there, wouldn't they? And that was it. That was static. But the electronic ones these days, they constantly change.
Yeah.
And on the Fulham Everton game, there were there's several names that come up that kept flashing up. There was Betway, there was Bet Victor, Daffabet, Bet365. Which to me, Bet365 means sort of gamble every day of the year, doesn't it? There was TLC Bet, right, Tender Loving Care Bet, TLC Bet. That's a sort of Philippine company. I know, it was bizarre. I didn't really realise until I sat and watched it how many of those were going on. And then there's also one which fits in perfectly what we're talking about here. One came out with Safer Gambling Week 2020. Now, it was so amongst you got all these adverts promoting this gambling, and then they've got one little bit that comes up. In fact, Fulham had it on that shirt for that one day. They took away their Bet Victor sponsorship logo and put on their Safer Gambling Week 2020 just for that one day.
Yeah, I mean, even that though, it's still got the word gambling in it. Still makes people think, oh, actually, that's a good idea. Might have a little bit of a bet.
I don't know. It just seems bizarre. They can have all these, they're heavily pushing it and these very destructive messages effectively. And then one little good one seems to get them out of jail. It's like, you and I standing up, you're in front of the beak, in front of the judge, you're up on a murder charge and you say, well, it's okay. I did murder that person, but, I did give someone a lift to hospital once. Is that okay? You know what I mean? I might be stretching it a bit, but
the thing that I don't struggle with it because I kind of know why it's done from a kind of corporate and financial perspective. But even if there wasn't any advertising for gambling, people would still gamble. It's not like people are going to stop and forget about it because it's not in their face all the time. I mean, gambling's been around for as long as we've been alive and, thousands of years before. So this kind of fixation with constantly wanting to stuff the opportunity for people to gamble their money away in people's faces is a slightly bizarre. It's kind of just, I think, says something about us as a society, which is, not terribly attractive. I think if you wanted to have a bet on the football, you could have a bet on the football, couldn't you? It just doesn't have to be, so many other football teams have their shirts sponsored by betting companies now as well, don't they?
They do. I was going to go on to that because the drinks companies seem to have dropped off of football shirts. But they wouldn't advertise if it didn't have results, would they?
No.
These betting companies are not silly, and they know that name awareness is so important. And when you look at it, out of the 20 Premiership clubs, there are 9 of them, West Ham being included, have a betting company as a sponsor on the front. And out of the 24 in the Championship, 17 have got them. So it's massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think the problem is, these shirts, the replica shirts, are worn by kids. So you've got kids wandering around effectively as advertising boards for drink companies and or in this case, for betting companies.
Yeah.
It's normalising it, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is normalised because the idea of constantly being on your phone all the way through a football match, changing your bets and having a new bet, and I've lost that one, let me have another little one. That is, kind of perfectly normal behaviour now, isn't it? Well, I mean, obviously people aren't in the grounds doing that, but I bet the pandemic and the fact that people haven't been able to go to football matches, I bet that's increased the profits of gambling companies.
Undoubtedly. But looking at it further, the government are looking to ban advertising from betting companies or soften it down as much as they can with football clubs. But it's been put on hold at the moment because the clubs are complaining that the finances are really bad at the moment during the COVID situation. So it may be, they say it might be 2022 or 2023 before the government have another look at it. I think they've got bigger fish to fry now. I was on the back burner. It's back to education, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to start earlier, doesn't it? There is I think fundamentally, as I was saying before, that it's quite destructive, this idea that gambling companies and drinks companies and tobacco companies and so on are benevolent. It's like feeling like your heroin dealer's got your best interests at heart.
The parallel can be drawn. You're absolutely right.
I think we're kind of better off to recognise that we have to take personal responsibility for any of those kind of behaviours that can get out of hand, that can be destructive, and expecting some sort of message to come from somewhere else that's going to help us regulate that and control it's not really going to come, because it's either not going to be there at all, or it's certainly not being provided from a good heart, as it were.
No, you're exactly right. Exactly right. But I thought it was more of a rant this week rather than a discussion. So thank you for indulging me on that.
That's all right. You've got me all fired up now. Yeah, I feel all angry now. I'm going to go down Aldi and start pulling stuff off shelves.
Well, you see, it just concerns me because a lot of the people that come into groups. It's rare we get people coming that only have a gambling addiction, but it so easily attaches onto the side of other addictions that I think we got to be more aware of the problems associated with it.
Agreed.
So anyway, I've come towards the end of my notes here on what I wanted to talk about. So I think it'd be worth talking about if there's anything particular that you've learned this week, and I'd like to put you on the spot at this stage.
What do you think I'm going to say? You're
going to say no. Or you could have used last week's excuse. Oh, I did have one. I've forgotten it. It's a bit like the dog homework excuse that you trot out from time to time.
Well, okay, I'm going to surprise you because I have learned something this week.
Okay.
I've learnt the origin of the term public house.
Oh, okay, very relevant as well in that case. Yeah. Inform me. Go on.
So apparently, where it comes from, I'm not necessarily going to get this story completely right, but the shape of it will probably be reasonably close. Apparently, years and years ago, when there was no way of kind of keeping beer from it going off, people in the village would kind of take it in turns to brew the beer. And they brew the beer, and when the beer was brewed, everybody would go round to their house and drink their beer, and then it would be someone else's turn to brew the beer, and everyone would go to their house and drink the beer when that was brewed. Hence the term public house.
Oh, I see.
How about that?
Well, it's very good. I don't know whether you looked it up or whether you just.
I didn't look it up. If you think I'm going to spend my time looking up facts so I can tell you I've learnt something this week, then I'll tell you where I saw it. There's a new TV series. I don't know why I've been watching it really, because it's actually quite bad. There's a new television series made by James May of Top Gear fame. I think it's called Oh Cook. It's basically a cookery program by him, and he claims that he can't cook. So that's the setup. It's like, I can't cook, here's my cookery program. And so he makes these dishes. He tends to make a bit of hash of them, and he intersperses his cooking with fun facts. And that was one of them. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So I thought I'd bring it here because it seemed appropriate.
I think what the world needs now is more cooking programs on TV. There's just not enough of them, are there?
You can't have too many cookery programs. I mean, everybody knows that.
No, you're mate. I'm getting angry just to thought about it now. It's just littered with them, and there's no need. They're not interesting.
They're totally interesting, and they're also of great comfort. If I'm not feeling well, the only thing I want to watch is some cookery programs because it's almost like a sort of televisual blanket.
Is it? Well, I see them if I'm feeling a bit well. So if you're feeling a bit sick, you want to see people eating food.
No, not if I feel sick. Not if I feel sick. There's a broader tapestry to illness than feeling nauseous, isn't there? if I feel sick, then obviously I don't want to watch cookery programs. But if I'm, got a bit of a cold or something, then I'm quite happy to lie on the sofa and watch a bit of Nigel Slater or something.
The only person I've got any room for is Nigella Lawson, and that's it.
I'll tell you something about Nigella Lawson, shall I? I like Nigella Lawson, but she has a tendency to make her recipes too sweet. I
don't mind about. I like listening to her voice. I find her voice comforting.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. Yes. Right. So
why don't you do a bloody podcast with her then?
I'm going to actually. I might hashtag her in on this one and see if she responds.
Oh, well, that's interesting because, of course, you get on well, won't you? Because she's had a coke habit, hasn't she, in the past?
Yeah. Well, we could chat. We have similar grounds, I'm sure. Anyway, well, my interesting fact I learned this week is about trousers. And we like trouser facts, don't we?
Oh yeah, everybody likes a trouser fact. Yeah.
Well, do you know the world's oldest trousers was recently discovered in China, and they're 3,300 years old. So we've been wearing trousers for a long time.
Have they been the dry cleaners? They said they would be ready Thursday.
Well, yeah, some of mine look about that age, I've got to admit. But actually, can I tell you a little story about a little trouser story? Are you up for that? We got room for that.
Yeah, go on. So I'll probably cut it out.
You can cut it anyway. It's not very interesting. But we were working on a property, myself and my business partner. Yeah. We're refurbishing this property, ready for some new tenants to come in, and the owners of the property gave us the keys.
Yeah.
So every night I'd lock up and I'd put the keys in my trouser pocket.
Yeah.
And everything was fine. So for the first few days it was fine. And then one morning I got up, got dressed, put my hands in my pocket, no keys. And you know that horrible feeling you get when you think, oh God, I've lost the keys.
Yeah.
You catastrophize. I was catastrophizing at that point, thinking, oh my God, they're on holiday. They're in Dubai on holiday. They're not going to be able to get back. We're not going to get the job finished. The tenants won't be able to move in. And it was all going mad in my head. And I was searching everywhere, all around the bedroom, in the wardrobe where the trousers were. I rang up my business partner and said, "Oh, if you got the keys, you sure you got the?" And they said, "No, you definitely have the keys. You always have the keys." And I was getting myself into a real panic, and I suddenly looked down, and I realised I put them trousers.
Actually, when you got to the punchline of that story a moment ago, your the line went a little bit fuzzy. So when I listen back to it, it'll be quite amusing because it might be that you went all the way through that story, and then when you got to the payoff, nobody heard it.
Oh right, okay. Well, you can put that in, can't you? So I'll say it again, so you can patch it in.
You can if you like.
I can't remember where it went from. No, you do with it as you wish.
Yeah, I will do. Yeah. Anyway, the bottom line is, no pun intended, that you found the keys because you realised you'd put the wrong trousers on.
I put the wrong trousers on. That panic.
That's one of the. Did you know what? That's the best trouser story I've heard all day.
All day. Yeah. Well, it's right up there, isn't it?
Right up there. Yeah.
Hey, what about a guilty pleasure music-wise? Any thoughts on that?
Well, this will surprise you as well. I haven't really thought of a guilty pleasure in terms of a song, but when I was trying to work out what music to put to this week's episode, I realised that actually I was quite a big fan of Supertramp, and that is as a band they're a bit of a guilty pleasure because certainly when I used to like them in my younger days, in my kind of 20s. I remember everybody used to take the piss out of me. Supertramp, God, that's flipping old people's music. So I think I could probably quite rightly claim Supertramp as a guilty pleasure.
Well, yeah, it's not. Yeah, I can understand you should feel very guilty about that because they're an English band trying to sound like an American rock band.
Well, I don't feel guilty about it. I'm proud. In fact, I'm going to buy myself a Supertramp T-shirt.
Well, I'm quite proud about my choice this week, which is Hole in My Shoe, with a version by Neil from the Young Ones.
Yeah, okay. I don't think you can have that as a guilty pleasure. I mean, that's it's almost like a slightly cult song, isn't it?
Not really. I mean, it's awful, isn't it, really? It's a bad rendition of a previously bad song anyway. So well, it's a double whammy.
It could be worse. I mean, you could have said Diamond Lights by Hoddle and Waddle.
I don't think anyone could like that.
I think Spurs fans would.
Well, I saw them both at Hoddle and Waddler on the on one of the documentaries I was watching last night about Maradona. Obviously, Maradona passing away.
Oh yeah. Well, he had his issues with substances, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know if you've watched that documentary film just called Maradona.
I've watched some of it, but I haven't finished it.
Absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I think he's very much loved around the world, but hated in England, obviously because of the Hand of God goal. But I did feel sorry for him.
Haven't we forgiven him that now?
No, I haven't. But I can forgive. I can understand his addiction problems.
Okay, so he did score with his hand against England in 1986 was that?
Yeah.
But firstly, it doesn't really take away from his genius as a footballer. Even though he's a bit of a nutcase, he was a wonderful footballer. And to be fair to him, any way that he kind of could get one up on the British, on the English, as an Argentinian post the Falklands War, I should think, would just make him more of a hero at home. I can kind of completely understand why he did it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's as I say, I think everyone else around the world absolutely adores him. Yeah. And I think as a footballer, he's unparalleled. So I can appreciate that. And the other goal he scored in that game was probably the best goal ever. It's just that cheating aspect of it that grated with me.
But there's a hypocrisy, isn't there, within football fans? Because you and I both know that if Declan Rice scores with his fist on Monday night against Aston Villa, we'll be quite happy with that.
No, I'm going to say no. I don't support West Ham anymore with that behaviour.
Okay, well, we'll wait and see about that.
Well, yeah, I think VAR would sort that out now.
Yeah, you're splitting hairs now. You understand the point that I'm making. It's we don't in sport we don't like cheating unless it works for us.
We'll leave it there. I'm not even going to comment upon that.
All right. Okay. Well, it's been nice not to see you today. I don't know what's happened to the camera, but there we are. Probably find that this whole episode hasn't recorded, which would be quite hilarious.
Well, I was thinking that we probably might have to rerun this again, but let me know.
I will do. All right, Squire.
Okay.
Have a good afternoon.
And you.
See you later.
Bye.
Cheers, bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work, visit grahamlandywellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter and you can find us on Facebook at Sideways Podcast, or you can email us to let us know what you think of the show and with anything else you'd like to ask us. And finally, we want to thank you for listening and ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week. I looked in the sky where an elephant's eye was looking at me from a bubblegum tree. And all that I knew was the hole in my shoe, which was letting in water.